Hey, Slick Talkers, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. And I know that if you love this show, you'll also love my morning show called Good Morning Hospitality with my co-hosts Michael Golden and Brandy Canali, as we spend 30 minutes every Monday morning to dive into the industry's top latest news and trending topics. So go check it out on wherever you find your podcasts at Good Morning Hospitality. And you can live stream with us on Monday mornings on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. Now, I hope you enjoy this episode. Before we continue with this episode of Slick Talk, again, I'm really excited to have Joshua Rockwell on the show. Great friend of mine, great leader, and just overall great guy to talk to in the industry, and I'm glad to have him as a guest. But before you end this episode, I mean it, every single one of you who have listened need to stay through all the way to the end. I have a cool and a really exciting announcement about the podcast, and you need to be present and listen to it. So, listen all the way through. If you don't listen all the way through, that's fine, I get it, but please do, because I have a great, cool, exciting announcement, especially if you live in Washington. So get ready and get set and listen to this podcast and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast where we discuss all things hospitality, hotels, and business. You can find us online at slicktalkthepodcast.com and on every podcast listening platform.
The kind of certain highlights of the episode that we talked about here. So go ahead, tune in, enjoy, and I hope you guys get a ton out of it. Thank you.
Welcome to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast where we discuss all things hospitality, hotels, and business. You can find us online at slicktalkthepodcast.com and on every podcast listening platform.
Thank you, everybody, for coming back to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast. I'm the host, Will Slickers, and today I actually have the pleasure of being on site at the Hotel RL in Olympia, Washington. And I have the awesome general manager named Ron here, who we're going to interview and just kind of dive into a little bit of his background, the history of the hotel, the history of the brand, and all the exciting things that involve hospitality. So, Ron, thank you for joining.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the RL Olympia.
That's been great. It's been a great show, or a great stay so far. So I really just want to dive into kind of you, who you are, what your background is, and a little bit of maybe history for the listeners in the hospitality industry, and kind of what you've been through, and some cool stories, and of course the brand and everything that's going on here at the RL.
Well, I'm a veteran, so I got lots of stories.
I love it.
I've been doing this for over 35 years, and started out right here in Tumwater.
Right here, right on.
You know, I call it Tumwater because it's right next door, right?
Yeah.
And so I started out here and at this hotel. First job.
The very first one?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I won't give you the year. But a long time ago. And, you know, I progressed through some different companies and had the pleasure of working, you know, for some good organizations. And, you know, now it's kind of brought me back full circle.
Very nice.
Here at the RL Olympia.
Very nice. So, so you first started here, first time ever.
And we got some kids playing some foosball over here.
Yeah.
So
hey, it's all about the experience.
That's part of the RL,
it's all
right?
about the RL experience. I love it.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're about. We're one of 9.
1 of 9. Okay.
RL branded with Red Lion.
Yes.
Hotels, and Red Lion has 76, you know, properties that are, you know, franchised in different levels, and they've come up with this RL brand, and we put this together about 3 years ago here.
Okay, this property itself.
Olympia.
Okay, very nice.
You know, it's been our goal, Red Line's goal, to bring something that's kind of an experiential.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, look, something unique. Here, you know, they listen to the guests, they get the feedback. You know, they wanted to create something that would be unique in that regard, and so. You know, we put together the living stage where we're at right now.
Yeah, the awesome living stage.
Awesome living stage where we have a lot of local and regional artists that come in and play. And
now podcasts.
Podcasts now today, yep. And right next to us we have a coffee bar. Instead of, you know, having the in-room coffee or in the restaurant, we invite you to come down here to the lobby and get a free 8-ounce espresso.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
On us.
All right.
So it's pretty cool, right?
Well, I know I'm going to be the first thing tomorrow morning. That's awesome.
Yep, we got that, and we have these over here on the other side of me is our RL bicycle, and
Perfect.
so you can scoot around Olympia when you have time.
Heck yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, while the weather's still good.
Yeah, still good. Yeah, good time of year, and in our guest rooms, we took the rooms back to more of a refined, clean look. We went with hardwood floors.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of shocked by that.
Our guests, like having the hardwood floors. They feel more comfortable with that. And instead of the art on, we created murals. For the walls. And it's really about when you stay in a hotel, it's about having a clean room and a comfortable bed. Right?
Yes, yeah, always number one.
That's really important to have that good sleep.
Yes.
And so our beds are pretty comfortable here.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what we've done, new look, and recreating this here for the brand, for Red Lion. And I work for now Aimbridge Hospitality.
Yes.
Which just merged with Interstate Hotels.
About like a week ago?
About a week ago.
Yeah.
Now we're 1,400 hotels worldwide, the largest third-party hotel management company in the world.
Yeah.
And I have the pleasure of working with Aimbridge here to manage this fine asset for Red Lion.
Awesome.
So getting back to, again, my story, I started out as a young man many years ago and worked for a company that was then called Vance Hotels, which became West Coast Hotels, and now it's Coast Hotels, and I worked with them for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Helping them out, and
how many people started?
Well, when I was there in the corporate office, there were 4 of us.
4 of you, including the secretary?
Well, we called it a secretary back then, and her name was Wendy. And so I had the fun of building a company at that time, and then I landed myself at their flagship property in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Called Benson.
Yeah.
I was there for 17 years, and I got a lot of fun stories with that hotel. And
not too far from where I am, Seaside. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You're over there in Seaside.
I'll have to make it a little stopover.
Yeah, it's on the way.
That's awesome.
And so I retired from them.
Okay.
Took a couple years. I had a grandson I wanted to spend some time with. And
yes.
A friend of mine said, "Hey, you want to come work for Interstate, which is now Aimbridge?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Okay." And I came back and managed the Crown Plaza in Lake Oswego, Oregon. And about 8 months ago, I came here to Olympia. Full circle for
Full
me.
Circle, right around.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Good stuff.
Well, I'm kind of curious, just kind of an impromptu question, but what's it like going from a branded hotel like IHG with the Crown Plaza, and then to maybe like the management company style? Is it for you as just with your experience? I'm kind of curious.
But brands are brands.
Yeah.
IHG, Red Lion, Marriott, Hilton, Coast. They all have their way of doing things and what they want to represent. And you have your compliance with the different brands. The management is behind the scenes. We're the ones working the asset for the owners.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll have an owner of a hotel and you'll have a brand flag, as we call it.
Yes.
And then you have a management company. So you have 3 entities that are involved with the property, like this one.
Yeah.
And so I answer to a lot of people.
I was gonna say a lot of hands in the pot.
The most important person I answer to is the guests.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I have a lot of workings with the guests and actually the associates here. I believe in good foundation is good associates, and supporting the associates so they can do their job and take care of the guests.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what the podcast is all about. That's what we talk about all the time. So that's awesome.
Someone referred to it as it was actually put together through Harvard. It's called the service profit chain.
Service what?
Service profit chain.
Okay.
It's the foundation is work with the associates, take care of the associates, let them take care of the guests, and the end result is good stuff.
Yes. Awesome. And it seems pretty successful then.
It's been successful in the areas that I've got involved with, and I'm happy and honored to be here.
Excellent. Well, so what we kind of jumped into what the brand is for RL. It's about the experience. It's about the guests. It's about kind of creating the come visit us kind of feel, where I'm kind of curious with this property specifically, went under a remodel not
3
too
years
long-
ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, created this new look, put this together, put the guest rooms and public spaces, and yeah, you got me sweating here next to the
I know
fireplace.
it's a little
right?
warm.
Yeah,
It's a little warm.
And the coffee bar and the bicycles. And,
Awesome.
And so that's what hotels do. They put money aside so that they can improve their assets, their properties, continue to be successful in the markets that they're in.
Awesome. Well, I guess some behind the scene type of stuff. What is it? I guess for a lot of the listeners that we have with the podcast, they're all either very young and hungry in the industry. They're either very experienced or they're just kind of dabbling in restaurants or whatever else there may be in hotels and hospitality. What's a piece of advice that you think from the 35 years you could pass down to any of the 48,000 listening this month?
Well, the listeners out there, if hospitality is a fun and exciting industry to be part of.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to the listeners out there. I think that every day is different.
Yes.
If you want a routine and you want something the same every day, this is not it.
Yeah, don't do this. Don't do hotels.
This is, you wake up in the morning and you start your day and it, you got a plan.
Yeah.
But the plan's going to vary because you have a lot of moving parts, and so it's an exciting industry. I love what I do. You've got to like people.
Yes.
People are the biggest part of this.
I was gonna say that's probably what makes things change so much. Is you got so many different personalities and different travel arrangements and all sorts of things going on that you do got to prepare for.
Yeah, and in this hotel, we get guests that come in on national leave. Mostly Canada.
Yeah.
This is Olympia is the capital of the state, and so we got a lot of people coming to do business here in Olympia. But also we're right next to some pretty good attractions like the Olympic Rainforest.
Okay. Yeah.
And people come here and they want to go up there and camp and hike, and this is the midway between Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington.
Yep.
And so it's a good stopping point for a nice R&R and a good a good place to stay. And we've got 12 acres.
Okay.
Here of ground, so we're pretty nice little resort.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's we have 16,000 square feet of meeting space as well for groups.
Okay. Yeah.
We can do parties of 10 or 600.
Well, I know there's a lot of businesses right around the corner all over the place, right when you pull in. So I was kind of noticing that. Yeah. The business travel is probably heavy here.
We're having some good fortune with some business travel. So, and 193 rooms here at this RL property. It's a good size, a full service hotel with a restaurant and bar.
Yeah.
And,
excellent.
The coffee bar in the morning.
Heck yeah, best part, my favorite. So I guess for the RL brand itself, a lot of hotel chains and brands and all sorts of affiliates, they have a rewards program, and I'm just kind of curious if you can just a little bit about the Hello Rewards. A lot of like Marriott I'm very familiar with. I started out as a Marriott employee myself, and so silver, platinum, or silver, gold, platinum, all that good stuff. So curious.
Most of the hotels that are branded will have a loyalty points program. We have a unique one here with our brand.
Yes.
Hello Rewards is the name of our loyalty program, and what's unique about it is that your points you can redeem them at $1 value.
Okay.
So if you got 1 point, that's $1.
Awesome.
And you can apply that to anything at an RL hotel, a red wine hotel, with those points.
Yeah,
so
that's a good value.
That's a little bit different than some of the other programs that are out
definitely.
there, and we're pretty excited about that, and here at the RL with this program.
Very nice. Well,
makes it a little special.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really good value, and especially if you occur enough stays, adds up pretty nice. So
you're already accumulating points, right?
I know, right on. I actually did sign up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the Hello Rewards, obviously there's a lot of loyalty, and every hotel wants to have the best loyalty with their return customers. What's kind of give us some experience that you've seen from the years of the creation of OTAs and OTCs, and that for me, like, I am always about direct bookings, and I think you were telling me a little of a story beforehand that really caught my ear, and so
Yeah,
curious.
behind the scenes, we were talking a little bit, and I think because of how long I've been with the industry, I have some stories. Once upon a time,
yeah,
as I told you, the guy called me up on the phone when I was managing a hotel, and I think I was an assistant manager.
Okay.
Of a property, and he said, "Hey, if you give me 10 rooms, I'll sell them for you." Well, that guy's probably Expedia now.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what happens. That's what it was back then, and that's how we used to do business. But now we do it a little bit differently, and the OTAs have some good value for our guests. We recognize that. We partner with them.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a market that has a good presence for OTAs.
I agree.
Online travel agents, as we call them.
Yes. Yeah.
Some might call them, OTCs or OTOs or organizations. But so those partnerships are important for us. It's important for our guests. We have a rate parity.
Yeah.
With them. So whether you book here at the hotel directly, you're a loyalty program member, you book directly with us, or you go online, you're going to find the same rate. We'll match the rate.
Yeah.
And that's what the brands do.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know
you don't want to get into my stories.
Oh, I do, but I want to hear your most either craziest or funnest or most memorable moment in the industry from your time of service.
Well, I've had a few. I think I mentioned I've had a pleasure of hosting some dignitaries, U.S. presidents, and some sports figures, basketball players, Shaquille O'Neal, and
what did you invent for him?
Pardon me?
What did you invent for him?
Well, that takes me back to creating the 8-foot bed. I called it the NBA bed.
The NBA bed.
It's 8 feet in length because when I got to this hotel, we were hosting NBA teams, and our regular kings are too short.
Yeah.
And if you're 7'6", you don't fit. And so I went and contracted with a bed manufacturer, and they created a 1,200 coil pillow top 8-foot bed for me, and I was the first one to have 8-foot beds in the Portland market.
Awesome.
And that was pretty good stuff, and the NBA team, they really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Their feet weren't dangling the whole time.
Even the 6'5" guys, they still liked it. But I created that, and I've had the pleasure of meeting some nice actors and actresses, mm-hmm. and my most memorable moment was with Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman was filming in the city that I was in, and we had dinner together. And
awesome. What
an original guy.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, and that was a nice memory for me.
Yeah.
And so it's a great industry. It's an industry that you never know who's going to walk in, where they're going to be at, and who's passing through. And we treat everybody the same, whether you're representing a country or just yourself. And I believe in taking care of yes is the answer.
What's the question?
What's the question?
Yeah.
That's my philosophy, and that's what I like to see happen with my team members at our properties. And so that's what I'm about.
Awesome. Well, hey, I just really want to say thank you for your time and appreciate it. I think this is really just fun to chat about the experience and kind of the background of what most people don't really get to see or hear about, especially with, management companies and owners and franchise and all the other stuff. And of course, dinners with Morgan Freeman. So
that's good stuff. We're the largest one, if not the largest industry in the world, and a good opportunity for many of your listeners that want to get started. Hotels, industry, restaurant, bar. It's good stuff. It's adventurous. It's fun to do. It's very unique and experiential. And we welcome you to come on board.
Right on. Well, thank you everybody for tuning back into Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast. You can check out the Hotel RL in Olympia, Washington. Just go to hotelrl.com. You can find it on the web. Great property. Come stay here, have a cup of coffee, and come say hi to all the staff, and we'll tune in next week.
Thank you so much for listening. We love your support and want to provide the best we can to all our listeners. So please find us online, social media, and on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast.
Hope you enjoyed the episode, everyone. I had a great pleasure of just talking with Ron and getting to chit chat on the living stage, and he's a great guy. Definitely would love talking to him again. Definitely worth checking out the property and coming here and experiencing what the brand and property has to offer, and of course the amazing staff. So we've had a great experience here, great time, and stay tuned for next week's episodes. And we have a ton of content coming out and going through the pipeline here, so I'm really excited. And of course, other exciting news I'll announce. But it's just slowly getting better and better, and we're enjoying so much of this. And so thank you to all our listeners who do tune in. It's a real pleasure to be a part of this industry and just a part of the experience that we get to bring here with the podcast and with everybody involved. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next week.
I think have been major benefits, and I see it in other people that are finding these things and trying to envelop them into their leadership abilities has been very helpful for them, as well as, increasing your knowledge and bettering your skill set. I know we're going to touch on me getting my sommelier certification not too long ago in a little bit, but constantly having that desire for knowledge and wanting to continue your learning. That's always something that we talk about in different leadership settings, is what are we doing to continue learning and things like that, and where are the opportunities where somebody in my position can work on getting a sommelier or getting certification in food or culinary, or reading a leadership book or taking a class. But getting that if you want to hold a team accountable and kind of hold them to the same expectations of having that thirst for knowledge, lead by example and better yourself, find ways to constantly keep learning, because you're absolutely right. We're human beings, and there's always opportunities where you've met a great leader in your past, but I'm sure they're working on something. We're always working on something that we could be better. So, when your team knows that you're working on you and trying to make yourself better, and that you're not perfect, that helps support them in their, attitude towards taking those next steps. Do they want to go back to school? Do they want to finish school? Do they want to get a certificate? Do they want to go after the sommelier? Do they want to
launch and you want to practice? Drop your rates, have someone book it that make sure that they can give you a really good review, and start padding those reviews. I'm sure not everyone was going to want to hear that. That sounds like a lie, but what you're doing is you're ensuring that the guest experience is going to be consistent, that you do get some practice by people that are going to give you honest feedback, while at the same time helping your listing get ranked higher.
Yeah, and from an operations standpoint, for me, I've done this with a property before, like where we do a soft launch and we lower the rate and let friends and family kind of give it out. Because to be honest, you're going through the whole process, right? Let's say maybe you're remodeling a whole property, and you're like, this is how we're going to design it. This is how we're going to do this. These are the amenities we're going to place. You put all this time and money into the property, and then let's say you don't go live and you don't do a soft launch, and you just let guests book that aren't your friends and family. They're going to not destroy you, but if there's anything wrong, or something that maybe got left out, they're going to place that in the review, and that's something that could have been prevented in my eye and standpoint. So when I have had friends and family, they are honest, they're genuine. They do, look at it in a different way than you do, because especially when, it's your property, you probably become really close to the project, And so they do get to kind of give you a heads up, like, hey, the way you place this was a little confusing, but I think if you put it here, this would be a little bit better, or whatever that kind of suggestion they may have.
Absolutely. And if you use that to your advantage and say, if you get reviews out of that are good, while they like in person give you feedback, you're doing your listing a favor. And a lot of channels boost your listing, first time listings with 0 reviews, to the top to give you a chance. So you really, really want to use that month to your maximum potential.
Yeah, definitely. And then it also gives you a really, like, if you have let's say you're not cleaning your own property and you have like a housekeeper or maybe a manager or a co-host that you kind of designate for the cleaning process, that gives them some practice. That gives them some genuine practice. It's not like you stayed there, because if you stay there, you're not going to use every amenity because you are like, I want to make sure I'm not spending money on something I don't need to. But when you have guests that are staying there and they're not really thinking about that, then you get your manager or housekeeping team an honest chance to figure out their flow, which is going to save you money in the long run, especially because a lot of checkout and check-in times only gives you maybe 4 to 5 hours and in between. So, you want to use that time most efficiently and effectively. If you can get the property done sooner rather than later into a set scale and standard and consistency, then it's going to be really, really huge.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like, I think it's great. And especially if you don't get it right the first time, these people are like your family and friends are going to be nice and they're going to be the ones that help you. But if it's a stranger, they're going to be brutal and they're going to give you a bad review. And those are hard to come back from.
Yeah, they're not forgiving in that
Nope.
aspect.
They are not.
Yeah, no, it's funny, but we'll get that's that's a whole separate thing, friends and family. But instant booking, I know this is a cool feature that are on most platforms.
Yeah.
Kind of dive into what are the benefits of instant book. I know a lot of hosts. I'm a part of a couple groups, and a lot of the questions are, why should I do instant book? I want to vet, my guests. I want to make sure that my property isn't going to be used for a party or isn't going to be, like a big wedding that's going to go crazy or whatever. So I guess what kind of tools, tips, and tricks do you have for that?
That's a great question. So I find that if you are doing your due diligence and filling out every single thing that the OTA asks you, you'll find that they oftentimes help to reduce getting a guest you wouldn't expect. So they have things like, do you allow parties? Do you allow kids? Do you allow pets? What they get really specific, like what do you not allow? And if you fill it all out, instant book should work in your favor and you shouldn't have to do much vetting. The reason why instant book is so important is that when we go back to that idea that people do 140 different searches, when they're ready to book, they don't want to waste a day. They don't want a 24-hour turnaround. They want to book on the spot, and they want to lock it in. Typically what we find is when it goes through an inquiry format, sometimes it works, sometimes it goes through, they're patient, that's fine. But sometimes what you see is they're also booking in another property. And if that one confirms ahead of time before you can get back, they oftentimes say, don't worry about it. Found a place somewhere else. You can, remove my inquiry, and then you've lost out on that booking. So it's really important to kind of that speed to that customer makes all the difference.
Yeah, if it is kind of like when you go buy something, when you go look at something online, maybe if there is an opportunity to get it and you're like, yeah, I want it, you want it. You don't want to just wait. I think as humans, we're pretty impatient sometimes, and especially when we're like, yeah, this is vacation, this is going to be fun, this is blah, blah, blah. Yeah, when we know we want something and we want to book it, we want it now. And I think that kind of goes into the whole aspect of instant book.
As far as guests go, like, I want to vet every single guest. There's only so much you can do. Like, I'd hate to say it, but, getting into the realm of having 100% perfect guests all the time is quite difficult. But what you're really aiming for is, that the same thing goes for you, that if you do enough work to put in all the amenities and all the things you're expecting, your expectations are the same as like reality. So it goes both ways. So the guests are getting what they expected and you're getting what you expect out of a guest.
Definitely. I think you create the perception of what kind of guests you want to attract when you're creating your listing. Absolutely. And that kind of to like listing completeness. It's never good when you leave your listing incomplete, because that does open up the door for potential, I guess, mishaps and types of guests that you may not want.
Yeah.
So, Well, let's kind of get into the final part of the podcast. Tips and tricks for the first time owner. At Travel Nest, you work with so many vacation rental properties and hosts who are advertising their property for the first time. And I'm pretty sure a lot of listeners out there are maybe, I know we have a big hotel and restaurant base for listeners, but I know we have a big base of first time listeners of vacation rental industry. So, what advice do you have for them for the first time vacation rental hosts, and kind of the importance of what they can do?
Yeah, as a first time vacation rental host, I really recommend doing some research on what good listing is. Now, obviously, Travel Nest provides this service as well, but you can go out there and you can find this information too. And what I recommend is make sure it's high quality when you're ready to push it live. If you go out and it's kind of maybe medium or average, or you've used some placeholder photos, that will hurt you, because the very first month that you're live, that's when you're going to be ranked the highest and they're going to give you the best opportunity to get booked. So we really recommend spending the time to make sure it's high quality. So get your photos done and make sure the photos match specifications, fill in all of those amenities, be very detailed with your availability and your pricing, and almost make sure it's at like 100% complete when what you're looking at. And then that will give you the best chance for booking. And like we said before, like when you're going live, I recommend, if there's a date that's unsold, give it to a family member. Like we said, like make sure they can go in, do a review, get you some reviews early up front, because booked listings get booked. Unbooked listings start to float to the bottom, or sink to the bottom, as we would say. And so that first month is really integral. If you do need to block off a bunch of dates, because things happen, or you've got someone who's booked it in for a month, we oftentimes recommend snoozing the listing. So there's a way to kind of say, this isn't available for sale. And what it does is it kind of stops you from sinking down the rankings. And when you come back, it gives you that inflated boost again. If you just block off dates, it just kind of thinks you're floating around, and the channels kind of do some funny stuff to it. So we've seen that when you actually snooze it and come back, you get that fresh start again, which is great.
Yeah, very nice. I love that. Yeah. So I guess for me and for the audience, what or where can the audience, people, members, slick talkers out there find Travel Nest and the information about what you guys do, what you offer, and possibly getting their listing on your platform?
Yeah, so definitely head over to travelnest.com. There is a whole series of blogs written. They're free blogs to read, but they tell you a lot of the same information that tell you how to build a quality listing. And then when you're ready, definitely try us out. We are Scotland based, but we help globally, so don't let that stop you. And really, if you sign up and for a demo, we'll walk you through it, show you how to add your property, and really make sure it's a usable experience. And we'll help you be on all 6 channels, make it a seamless, easy to manage, and boost those bookings.
Awesome. Well, I will also include all the details from our conversation here into the show notes, and also kind of throw it up on the website. If you are listening for the first time, then definitely check out Travel Nest. Meg has been a great guest, and all the content that we have talked about today is going to be used many, many ways. So, and if you like this episode and all the other stuff that we've said, stay tuned for more, because obviously Meg, myself, Travel Nest are going to be working together in a few more episodes in the future. So I'm really excited to be working with you guys, and I'm just appreciative of your time and your expertise of being on the show. So
we're happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's been really fun. Like I said, it's been a cool dynamic working with people in Scotland, and the opportunity to grow the industry that we love, and to do the things that we love for what we do every day. So
next time we'll bring in someone with a Scottish accent, so we can give you the full Scottish flavor.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit in yours. I know so the blood, but I can hear a little bit. It's like, oh, she's picking it up over there.
Yeah, I know. I'm so proud. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. All right, so thank you for tuning in, guys, to Slick Talk, the Hospitality Podcast. Again, I will leave all the details and links in the description below. Check out TravelNest at travelnest.com, and then you can also find everything on slicktalkthepodcast.com as well. And I'll have all the show notes and pretty much all the tools, tips, and tricks that Meg and myself discuss. And look forward to more episodes in the future. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We love your support and want to provide the best we can to all our listeners. So please find us online, social media, and on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast.
What's up, everybody? If you've gotten this far into the episode of Slick Talk, the Hospitality Podcast, then you are amazing, and thank you so much for tuning in. We want to send you two places really quickly. If you can, check out the show notes and click the hospitality.fm link. Check out all of our other shows on the podcast network. And don't forget, if you have someone that you want to hear on the podcast, then fill out the guest fill out form so that way we can get them on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy another episode of Slick Talk, the Hospitality Podcast.